All right, let's talk about my Dadbod strength standard. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. All right, this is one of these topics, and when I make these statements, I am stating this as an ideal. I am not stating that you absolutely have to reach it. I'm not stating that you are less of a man if you fail to reach it. I'm not stating that you're a bad person or you have less intrinsic value. And I will even say that some people, just due to particular health reasons, possibly even genetics, things like that, might not even be able to reach these things drug-free. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. What I am presenting here with my Dadbod strength standard is the assumption that Dadbod, you probably are a little older, you've been lifting a long time, okay? We've been training a long time. You will get stronger and continue to accrue lean tissue the entirety of your training career until such time as your hormone profile will no longer support any further muscle growth, and it may decline. But that may not happen until you're 50, 55, whatever that happens to be. So that being said, what I'm putting up is, again, kind of just a standard of excellence to say, hey, this is the benchmark that the older guys who have spent a decade in the gym should be able to reach if they have developed everything and put some real time in the gym. And it kind of lets you know where you rank up. Now, when I give these standards, I get some people who get upset. I will never obtain that. That's excessive. That's unreasonable. The strength athletes all hear it and laugh and go, wow, what mediocre standards. Like, that's the most weak, silly thing I've ever heard to even consider that a standard. You're promoting mediocrity. So it's funny depending upon where you are, how you view it. And I've heard that response, both of those responses, numerous times. So what is the standard and kind of why do I have it? What I have in for the Dadbod strength standard is the idea that you should strive towards benching 315, right? That's 3 plates aside, okay? That's just over 140 kilograms for those of you who do not use freedom units. All right, so it's a 3-plate bench, 4-plate squat, 4-plate side squat, so we call it a 405 squat. Again, that's about 185 kg because, again, 45-pound plates are slightly heavier than 20-kilo plates. So, again, that's for a back squat. Notice I didn't even say high bar, low bar. As long as you reach parallel, I don't care. All right, 500-pound deadlift. Again, about 228 kilograms. 500-pound deadlift. And the ability to do at least 10 pull-ups. Now, I prefer to do my pull-ups weighted, but I've also done, sets of 12 recently with a 25-pound plate. So I think we're good. And here's where I throw that in. I bring in the pull-up, and then people will say, why are we throwing that pull-up in? Well, number one, it's a body composition check. Because, in theory, whenever I throw the others out, people always reply, well, I'm not going to get fat just so I can do those. Well, I'm not telling you to get fat just so you can do them. Now, could you do that? Yeah. Would it probably work? Yes. Okay. Absolutely would work. But if you get really fat trying to hit those numbers, you're probably not doing 10 pull-ups. Okay, so it is there as a valid body composition check, right? It is there as a body composition check. And to work the other muscles involved, because the upper back, the lats, all that, because none of that is being used as a direct primary mover. So we're leaving major muscle groups out, lat strength, bicep strength, because not all of that gets tested fully on the deadlift, okay? Lats are a critical stabilizer, and strong lats will help you stabilize the bar better midway through. Right? Weak lats will make you miss the deadlift midway through. But again, these are strength standards that I put forward to say, hey, this is kind of what you should strive for if you want to achieve excellence. If you want to take your Dadbod and go from Dadbod to Daddy, these are the kind of standards you should be looking at. And it will actually be indicative of being there, okay? Because again, if you can hit all those lifts, again, most guys who are not really lightweight, who can do 10 pull-ups, usually have decent lats. They usually have, decent arms. I'm not saying you don't need curls. You do need curls if you want good arms. Most people do, okay? They're usually there. Same thing, 315 bench, you probably have pretty decent pecs and triceps. Probably have decent shoulders. It's also why I didn't throw an overhead press in there. We don't need it. We've already covered it. It's somewhat redundant, right? 95% of the muscle used for a heavy, strict standing press gets used in a bench also. The only difference is maybe a little more side delt, a little more trap. Hey, but those get covered with the pull-up and the deadlift. So we don't actually need that as a strength standard. Not saying it's not a good lift and you shouldn't maybe set standards on it if you want to. Completely irrelevant. We just don't need it for purposes of this standard. All right, about lower body, the squat. Again, you can squat 4 plates aside to depth. You probably have pretty good quads, probably have pretty good glutes. Okay? Deadlift, you can deadlift 500 pounds, especially if it's raw, no straps. What do you have? You probably have pretty good forearms, right? Because you can grip the weight. Probably have pretty decent upper traps, a little bit of upper back, not always middle, but upper. Okay? You probably have good erectors, nice strong low back, low strong core, glutes, hamstrings. Okay? Nobody with weak hamstrings, glutes, a weak upper back, weak grip is pulling 500 pounds. It's just not going to happen. And if they're not weak, they're probably decently developed. Now, if you can do all of that, you probably have a fair amount of body weight. Why? Because that requires muscle mass. Irrespective of your height. Irrespective of your height. Everyone brings that up too. Well, that's not fair for shorter guys. They don't have to move the weight as far. Yes, it is fair. All right. Then the pull-ups. We come over to that. If you weigh enough to do those other lifts and carry enough muscle tissue, you're probably not at a real light body weight. So if you can do those pull-ups, guess what? You're probably at least a reasonably athletic body fat. Okay? Because you've got a fair amount of muscle, so you're not real light. So then if you can do 10 pull-ups, in addition to the back, the having good lats, probably at least decent arms, you probably have a nice wide V taper. Again, what we're looking for, that'll give you wide look up top. You probably are at least at an acceptable, healthy body fat. Are there exceptions to this rule? Yes. But we're probably in that ballpark. So again, when I make this there, I'm saying this is a good standard to aim for. Will there be exceptions to those rules? Sure. Will there be people who end up just being so strong that they got a big old belly and they still do the 10 pull-ups? Yes. But they're outliers. That's relatively rare. Are there going to be people who are real light and small and just do their leverages and frame size, are not necessarily carrying out as much muscle as we would expect who can hit those lifts? Probably, but they're going to be rare exceptions. Okay? And that's the point to all of this. Where there'll be people who just genetically will never reach these? Sure, but they're the odd man out. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.